All right, everybody, welcome back here. And this time we are continuing the Slayer journey with their 1984 EP, Haunting the Chapel. I had some of those shipping delays going on, but you know what? Hey, just like I hoped for, this thing ended up coming before the weekend. So we got this thing in here. We can kind of keep going down this path with Slayer. So, we started off, and it had been a minute since even the first video for Show No Mercy. But, I filled it in with my horror figure collection stuff. That was fun. But now we're right back on track while we're looking at this thing here. And man, what a follow up. I'll go ahead and say, I think it was very smart for them to release this in between Show No Mercy and Hell Awaits. And, you don't see as quite as many EPs anymore. Because a lot of times they did serve that in between, kind of like that in between albums era. To satisfy the fans. They'd usually release like a live album, or an EP, maybe both, kind of in between albums to keep the fans satisfied, especially if like there was a significant time difference in between the albums being released. But really that wasn't even that much of the case because Hell Awaits would come out the same year. I believe. I think it was 84, maybe in 85, but I'm pretty sure it was 84 Hell Awaits was dropped. But anyways, yeah. So this thing right here, it's pretty crazy because, it still has that really, really raw production, which is just super kick-ass and so fitting for, early Slayer. And it still has that and retains that from the first album. However, there is just already a big change, as far as like there's some deeper tones on here that you can hear, and more of a crunch to it, and more of a rich dark sound to it than the previous album as far as production goes, which we'd really see that evolve on the actual second LP on Hell Awaits, which we'll get to next time. But yeah, so the evolution is just quickly going with these guys, which is awesome. So we've got the same lineup here and everything. This ought to be a quick review. It's just 3 songs, but hey, 3 kick-ass songs, because this is one of the EPs that I think of when I hear the term EP. This is one of those ones that that comes straight to my mind. So we started off with Chemical Warfare, which, it's a quick little EP, 3 songs. This is the lengthiest one. I mean, not long by any means, what, a good 5 minutes or whatever. But it's the lengthiest of them, so this one got its own side. This was the only track on that first side, and just holy hell, might just be my favorite track off here out of the. And there's not a lot to pick from, but I think this one, Chemical Warfare, definitely takes the cake for my favorite track off here. I mean, just really, really dark stuff. Obviously talk about chemical warfare, and that starting the rapture and all this, tortured troops, and I've got the lyrics back here to kind of, which is really cool. And I love the album cover, very simple, very simplistic. Follows kind of suit to the first album, but since it is just an EP, they just changed up a little bit. Didn't go too crazy with it, which is cool. But yeah, there's just, and it's kind of talking about too with chemical warfare how like, like it says in this lyric right here, God's is the throne, must be watching from hell, awaiting the mass genocide. I mean, it's just like, what the hell, man? Soldiers defeated by death from a smell, bodies lie dormant, no life. I mean, just dark, dark, dark stuff. If you're not into dark music, you might want to turn away, and you would have already turned away at the first Slayer review, because that's some dark stuff too. But heavy, heavy as hell. They still got that really kind of raw vibe to them, so super fast stuff here right off the bat. Absolutely love Chemical Warfare. And it's like a top tier Slayer song too, for me as well. Just incredible, incredible stuff. Then we flip it over, because again, that was the only one on that first side, to the second out of 3 tracks here, Captor of Sin. I will say out of the 3, I would probably say this one's my least favorite, but it is really, really damn good. Really, really fast. And Dave Lombardo, you get to hear him kind of experiments with some pretty odd, time signatures with the drum, like on the drums, really fast, odd time signatures, which is really cool. But again, not obviously just a kick-ass song, really, really fast. Probably the quickest of the bunch, but doesn't really matter, regardless. I mean, as you saw in that first album, you know, these quick little, these three, I think this is the first thrash metal band I'm covering on the channel. So yeah, you know, with thrash metal, if you're not familiar with it, I'm sure, you know, a lot of you are, if not most of you, you know, especially these earlier thrash stuff. I mean, there's a lot of just quick, fast bursts of, you know, 3-minute, 4-minute tracks. And that's kind of what Captor of Sin is one of. And, you know, there was a lot of, there were quite a few of those on that first album, which is just incredible. I mean, they're full songs, you know, 3 minutes is like it's not like an interlude type deal, but I'm just saying, like, compared to like maybe what we've been kind of covering on here, like a good 5-minute or 6-minute song would be the average for some of the artists we've been kind of covering on here lately with Steve Vai and everything. But yeah, Captor of Sin, super fast, really cool time signatures. But I'd probably say my least favorite off this quick little EP. Then we go with the title track, Haunting the Chapel. And man, again, just some dark, dark shit, you know. The Holy Cross, symbol of lies, intimidate the lives of Christian born. I mean, just wow, you know, clearly talking about haunting the chapel, you know, with the Catholic Church and all that, kind of taking on a dark, holy take on that, you know. Black and magic infests with lust, Lucifer rules supreme, the crystal ball shows unknown fate, the last thing that's heard is the screams. I mean, just some of these lyrics are so freaking brutal and just badass, man, I tell you. Love, love, love this stuff. You know, attacking angels as they pray to God, tormented preachers hail the twisted cross. I mean, again, just these lyrics are just nasty, and I love it. It just adds to the heaviness. I mean, even if you had like lyrics, you know, the lyrics are just one of the factors in Slayer, because I mean, they're just so freaking heavy and kick-ass. The lyrics are dark and evil sounding. But you know, if these guys were singing about sunshine and rainbows, the music itself too, the instruments and everything, they're, you know, the heaviness is still going to be there. But you know, they just add in those evil freaking Slayer lyrics to add to that heaviness just a little bit, makes it that much heavier. But yeah, Haunting the Chapel, just another incredible, incredible song, and one of my favorite EPs of all time, right here. I mean, again, like I said, this is one of, like when someone says EP, you know, your favorite EPs, or this is one of the ones that just like immediately springs to mind. And it's been that way since I first ever heard this thing. In fact, I remember whenever like I first ever heard it, it of course, just like whenever you first ever hear your first Slayer album, it'll blow you the hell away. Pretty much, and that's pretty much the case with if you know, if you're new to Slayer and like listen to these things, and like it was so quick, you know, it's a really short one. I was like, man, I gotta play this thing again after I the first time I heard it. You know, I was like, I gotta jump, you know, crank dial back and restart from the finish, because it's just so damn good, and one of my favorite EPs of all time. And just and I think this is one of those EPs that it's definitely a standout in the band's discography, and earns, you know, the right to be, you know, whenever I rank them, it's going to be included in that ranking. But with all that being said, guys, yeah, I'm super glad this thing came in, a really, really cool piece of my collection. You know, like I said in my other in like my video about my horror figure collection, I was kind of talking at the end about, you know, whenever I don't have an album by one of these bands I'm covering, like, you know, I use it kind of as a way to fill those gaps, you know, like if I'm missing 1 or 2 albums from the band I'm covering, I'll be like, oh, well, hey, now's the time to buy it. And that was the case for Haunting the Chapel right here. So really, really glad. And I got a pretty good deal on it too. But yeah, I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are on this freaking kick-ass, fast-paced, brutal EP. And EPs in general, I always love talking about them. They're an interesting thing, you know. Is this one of your favorite EPs you've ever heard? Is this one that you're like, oh, it's way too short, even for an EP? Not to me. I think it does exactly what it needs to do, which is just freaking punch you in the face with some heavy as hell thrash metal. And yeah, I just love to talk about this thing, and you know, I think it's really cool to hear, especially from people who like were growing up when these were coming out. You know, I bet this EP definitely is a standout for them, because they were on that wait till the full album Hell Awaits, which is what we're covering next time, guys. We move on in the Slayer journey. Again, we had kind of a bit of a gap there because of the shipping delay, but hey, we're back rolling. We're going to be covering Hell Awaits next time, so like, subscribe, comment, and tune in next time for that Hell Awaits review. Thanks.